Good morning. I have something a little different to share with you today. And what it is it's my version of an ethical will. Now, an ethical will is a document that you write that summarizes the important things you've learned in life. And you write this down so that you can pass it on to future generations. I began writing this version of my ethical will on March 11th, 2023, writing off and on. And it's written in somewhat in the style of Nietzsche's Thus Spake Zarathustra. And so I'm appropriately calling it Thus Spake Christopher. And a lot of it, all of it actually, is about non-dualism, non-dualistic philosophy. So if you're interested in non-dualistic philosophy, you'll probably like my ethical will, Thus Spake Christopher. I also have extensive footnotes for this document, and most of them refer back to biblical literature, rabbinic literature, Jewish mysticism. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then again, you might like Thus Spake Christopher. Now, the entire document has 72 short chapters or sections. Each section is less than a page. Usually each section has a short paragraph, could encompass a quarter of a page, sometimes three-quarters of a page. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a series of 18 short videos. And in each video, I'll just simply read through four of these sections. So that way, no single video will be too long. So let me share my screen and show how you can get a hold of this document if you're interested. Okay, I've got just a few quick things I need to do here to kind of clean things up a bit, and then I'll get started. All right. Now, the place to go is www.docbenton.com. That's my name, just put all in lowercase. And this webpage, it's a hodgepodge of stuff. It has mathematical stuff, astrological stuff, and stuff on Judaism, rabbinic literature, Kabbalistic literature. First section here, this is sort of a 10-part, 900 plus page introduction to the mathematical theory of groups that I created so I can read it as I get older, remind myself of stuff I learned in the past. Now, if you go down to the best of Doc Benton, here you'll find Thus Spake Christopher. And because I make a lot of references to Jewish texts that you might not possess, might not even know about, I put another link here to a page called Sepharia. This is a place where you can freely access a lot of the classical texts of Judaism, the Jewish Bible, the Talmud, Midrash Rabbah collection, the Zohar, the Bahir, all sorts of things on Jewish mysticism. I've opened this in another tab. So this is what the home page for Sepharia looks like. And I've also opened Thus Spake Christopher, another tab. It's a PDF document, so if you wish, you could just download the whole thing and read through it at your leisure. Or you could watch these videos I'm going to make. So let me go over here to Thus Spake Christopher. Thus Spake Christopher, A Tale of the Many and the One, and the Way of the Modern Nazir by Nikwayo, an unknown man. Christopher, the sage Christopher, begins his journey on the mountaintop. He comes down He encounters an unknown man who here is identified as Nakwayo. The man asks him questions. Christopher answers. Oh, down here I have listened to Tchaikovsky save the world. And as we go through this, I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. This is dedicated to Padmanabha Menon, who decades ago first introduced me to both the theory and the practice of non-dualism, how to apply non-dualism to your life, and how to live from a non-dualistic perspective. Very simple, yet it took me actually decades to understand. Okay, here you can see some of the contents. I got all sorts of sections 72 in general. And so let me go down and we'll get started with the first one. Okay, here we go. Let me have a sip of water. The Book of Christopher, Chapter 1. I've been on the mountaintop for, even I don't know for how long. It seems like forever and just for an instant. I've studied the book of instruction, the book of writings, the book of channelings, the book of learning, the wisdom books, the book of commentaries, the work of the chariot, the work of creation, the book of creation, the book of the assembler, the book of clarity, and the book of radiance. In addition, I've also studied the great religions and philosophies of the world. I've studied mathematics and the sciences. I've studied what some call a pseudoscience. I've meditated and contemplated and thought about what I've read and who I am. I've experienced ecstasy and great aha moments as I've put two and two together to make something new. I've gone from the many to the one and then back again to the many, and then to both at once. I've watched the world and how everything within is always changing, except for one fixed point that only observes and never changes. I've learned through experience that none of us are who we initially think we are, that we are not the I that we tell ourselves we are, but instead we're the life and awareness that sits silently behind the I behind the I. I've learned many things and experienced many wonders while on the mountaintop, and yet none of what transpired on the mountaintop helped me to master the F chord. And I realized that to fully understand the one, we have to descend into the world of the many. And so I left the mountaintop and descended into the valley of experience, where I encountered an unknown man who asked me many questions, and I answered the man. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 2. The man asked, "Why have you come down from the mountaintop? Why now?" I began to answer, "I have come down from the mountaintop precisely because it is now. Every few decades there comes a time when people yearn to transcend, but they don't know how. This time around, many are yearning to learn about individual spirituality. Many of the institutions that claim to hold the keys to spirituality have either failed them or have taken them as far as they are able. Either way, they now wish to go further, but they can only do so as individuals, not as slaves to some group. So that is why I am here, to speak of the spirituality of the individual and of individual joy." Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 3. The man said, "Tell me more about joy." I began to answer. One of the easiest ways to begin on your path of individual spirituality is by focusing on a moment of joy that you have felt. You don't need to close your eyes or sit in a particular posture to start, but those things can come later at appropriate times. Instead, for now, find a moment when you felt joy and let that joy expand. Let it expand throughout your mind and throughout your body, and then feel it extending beyond your body throughout both space and time. Give joy to yourself and give joy also to others. There will come a time within a few years when such joy may become the individual religion and path of many. This will be a joy of the body, the heart, and the soul. Many will learn that they can fan the flames of joy within themselves while also giving light and joy to others. However, one can never steal joy from others, though there will always be those that will try. There are always those who will deliberately try to rob others of their happiness. But joy taken in this way can never be consumed, and so they will still be hungry and will try to rob again. This is a path that leads to joylessness. Joy can always be given, but never taken from others without their consent. Instead, joy is always born within. It is a light that delights, and it can be passed on to others, but only if others choose to receive it. It is a joy of both the true self and the senses, because all that we perceive is of the senses, and all that we are is the true self. However, that does not mean that it is hedonistic or that it is always of the physical as you might understand it. The body can feel joy, but joy is of the light. At the same time, however, the joy of the body is the joy of the light. Joy comes when two people smile at one another and feel as one. Joy comes whenever a thought or a perception delights us. Joy is something that can fill our hearts and our minds. Joy is something we can radiate. But whether someone else wants to bask in our joy or reflect it back to us is always their choice. Joy is something we can give to others, but not something we can force upon others or take by force. All beings have free choice, and their choices should always be respected, just so long as they don't impinge upon the freedom of others. Hence, do not ever try to steal or control another's joy. It is theirs and not yours. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 4. How does one get to the mountaintop? Asked the man. I began to answer. Do you not know what is written in the wisdom books? There it says, on top of the high places by the way, where the paths meet, she who is called wisdom stands. At the bottom of the mountain are the ways. These are the great religions and philosophies that are open to everyone, and anyone can begin their journey at this point. Many, however, never venture any further up the mountain than where they began. These are the hardliners and ultra-conservatives of every religion. They have no desire to reach the mountaintop, as they are perfectly content with telling everyone else how their way is the true way and all the other ways are wrong. Halfway up the mountain, though, are most of the people of this world. They are halfway up because they listen half of the time to those more conservative voices below, but the other half of the time they listen to the voice of wisdom from above and from within. In general, they are good people who want to live good lives, but they mistakenly think that those below are above them, and they perhaps do not desire to hear the voice of wisdom as much as they should. Near the top, though, are those who have continued their journey. They are the ones who have reached the end of the way that they began with, and from that point on, there's only the path of the solitary individual, a path that they themselves have to create. At the top, they find the others who have also managed to create their own path through life. And at that point, they realize that they have everything in common with those at the top and nothing in common with the ultra conservatives at the bottom, who nonetheless still see themselves as the guardians of their particular way. At the top of the mountain are wisdom and joy, but at the bottom are ignorance and division. Hence, one should always seek the top of the mountain. Thus spake Christopher. Okay, and that is the end of my fourth section. I'm just going to do 4 sections in each little video. So let me stop sharing my screen. And I'm back. Okay, So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And in the next video, I'll cover 4 more sections. So for now, so long and be well.